Oh my, my, yeah. My baby, my, hey, creation sound.
Good evening now, whatever time may be when you watch this video. That's DABO from NYABINGHI, THEOCRACY. The organizers of African Liberation Day celebrations since 1988. We have come back here this year with another African Liberation celebration, and the theme for this year is, if we can live together, our children will have a future. Because we think the imperative on us now, the people, to try and unite despite our differences, so we could face our challenges together. And we have invited various speakers and singers and poets and presenters here this afternoon for us to do what we know this rally is about, to show our solidarity with the African people globally that are struggling, whether they live in Brazil, or they live in Brooklyn, or they live in London, or they live in Timbuktu. We want to show our solidarity with our people struggling where they may be throughout the Black diaspora, because we think that the unity of our struggle is the only way that we could
The second present, the third or fourth presenter today will be none other than the legendary Mr. Washington Archibald, who will be coming here this evening to grace us with his presence and his sound speech that cannot be condemned. So let's welcome the Honorable Mr. Washington Archibald, your elder, to the stage this afternoon to bless us with words of wisdom. Welcome, Washi, and welcome one and all again who have taken time out to support.
And good afternoon to one and all within the sound of my voice. I congratulate the Rastafarian people for keeping alive the idea of African liberation. It is a great thing you are doing, and I am sorry that you have to do it alone. I really wish some more bald-head people would come and associate with this great movement, because it is a good thing for people from Africa, whether they are bald-head or Rastafarian, to get together to celebrate their ancestry and to remember their history. Now, as I stand here this afternoon, I remember Africa, and I'll tell you why I remember Africa. Every time I come to the square, I remember Africa, because St. Kitts, this spot here, was the first stop on a long journey across the Middle Passage. They landed our forefathers down at the bay. They walked them to this pasture. They were young girls. You know, slaves were not old people, you know. Slaves were not old people. Slaves were teenagers. Our ancestors came to St. Kitts as teenagers, strong people, strong men, strong women.
Areas of corruption. I will fight for Africa until freedom. For Africa need liberation. Here they are, Selassie first. Many die to make I free. So we can't deny I black identity. I will prefer die rather than live in this judgment slavery. A full time now Africa be free. One day alone cannot celebrate I father's calling. When Haile Selassie could have already been saying these things from since he's coming. Free up all the last minds for Africa is awaiting. Our creators that was taken, you know? And that's it. Aina is the creators that were taken, so if we're talking repatriation, we have to go back to Africa and build Africa in a righteous way. Don't let us take the things wrong that we learn in this foreign land and go back to Mama Africa with it. Because we don't want no corruption when we go back home.
Yeah, and they're beautiful in the African wear. They look much better than in European wear. And they got class. They got attitude.
Every day of my life,
Our youths, the future, modeling African wear. Go on, young children. You are the future, man. Structure stuff. Do it with an attitude. You look so sweet, man. Yeah. It's sister leading brother here, you know. Brother and sister in front, so it's sister leading brother. Let's give them a round of applause.
King ITAL Kitchen at Reggae Beach, Southeast Peninsula.
Okay. What do you have in the pot today?
What we have today, we have stoupies. We have some stoupies here, and we have chingling. We have some rice over here. Sorry.
Ooh, looks like it's popular. It's almost gone. We got here just in time to get some.
Chili and rice and Empress, grab that for me. Some rice and greens.
Nice.
Some green beans as well too.
Okay.
And we have some seasoning cake over here.
Nice.
And some blessed, lovely local juices.
Okay. Nice. So we can find you over Reggae Beach. Beach.
Yeah, you can find me at Reggae Beach as well. You can find me at Monkey Hill, down Monkey Hill, St. Peter's.
As well. But if you want to reach us, our number is 760-5733 and 869 area code in St. Kitts. You also can reach us in Magic Jack number at 541-603-3982.
Okay.
And we're planning to open a spot as well in Oregon, so in the Eugene area in Oregon. So
Lovely.
You could be in touch with us through the internet as well.
Okay, and how are you enjoying today?
Everything's
African
blessed,
Liberation.
giving thanks for life. Yes, African Liberation Day. Rastafari, give thanks.
And sometimes I remember, sometimes I try to envision the young African girls naked, because the slaves never used to wear no clothes on the ship. When they land them on Bastille here on this spot, they were often naked. Our young black girls were naked, and the white men were around groping them to see which one of them was suitable to sleep with him or when she gets on the plantation. You see, when we think about slavery, there are some people who tell us we mustn't talk about it. But slavery was a cruel experience for our ancestors. The young men were also naked. They didn't get any clothes to put on from the time they leave Africa. They had to line the boat. They shitted and they pissed in the boat, lying down. The stench was unbearable. That is what black people had to suffer, and we cannot forget it. How can we forget it? This was their first port of call. And it was from here that they went to the various estates all around the countryside to begin a life of servitude. That life of servitude was a terrible life.
On our way to Mount Zion, see Mama Africa while waiting, the creatures that were taking, as we on our way to Mount Zion. Zion, Zion, me say Africa is awaiting the creatures that was taking. See on our way to Mount Zion. Zion, Zion is awaiting. Children of Israel, come on, away to Mount Zion. I say, wake up in the morning for the sun start to rise. I could not sleep, what I made the first night. Take up in me last and rain go take the soil. Break down Babylon wall, say one time and he say something. Beware of the Antichrist, cause no church in no building could be the temple of your life. Where two and three gather in righteousness, there you'll find the first truth of Rastafari. Your body is the temple, me say, of the Most High. So be careful what you think, what you put in your mind. All you think, all you live will surely be the thing. When Rastafari come to that peculiar thing, it's a love. Never be ungrateful, nor untruthful. Rastafari are looking at you.
We are affected by every move that the head ones make. We have a valuable voice. We are concerned citizens. We are valuable, second to none. There is a little thing I would like to say. Based on the political history of our federation, our people has been a rope of tug of war between political parties. Promises. What is a promise? An unfulfilled promise is but a comfort to a fool. So many problems citizens have, and leaders who wants to pursue it in power said to the suffering citizens, we will give you this and we will give you that we know you suffer from. But when they get in power, it's a different meditation. Well, I carry the name in the political arena for Rastafari, Solution. This is a movement that I want to bring to the people. Solution is what we need right now in our federation.
African wear, African colors. Let's give the train a round of applause, man. Yeah. They look so sweet. Yes, you mean backside. Yeah. Ooh. Let's see you smile, smile. Yes, she smile, yes, she. Smile, yes, she. Yes, I hear her smile. Yeah. Mary, carry. What about rain? How about force? And I will see that promised land. So remember all these natural disasters. Remember what happened in Montserrat. The majority of the Montserratians, they chose to go to England. But if that happened, you think it's the majority of Rastaman, I hope we don't want to go to England. I hope we go into the motherland. So when those tsunamis, those earthquakes, and those thunderings coming from the Almighty because He's not pleased with our way of our living, there will be a mystical land where we will be free for a certain time until the Father come again, you know. Because there is a time when there will be a new earth, new Zion, and all this that we know of the evil shall be passed away. It's the last first Joe Rastafari.
My name is SANKOFA Maccabee. I'm an artist, also I'm an agriculturist. I work till the sun, and that's my mission, that's my work.
What's happening today in Independence?
Well, today is the Independence Organization of African Unity. Actually, it's happening here in Independence Square. Organization of African Unity is when in May 25th, 1963, Haile Selassie, Nkrumah Kwame, and some other freedom fighters who had just really gotten free to control their own states in Africa. They came together to build the African Organization of African Unity, which was a charter that was established on May 25th, 1963. In Addis Ababa in Ethiopia is where this thing took place, where there was basically 32 free states representing states of Africa. All of them wasn't free at the time, actually. Some of them was warriors who were fighting in the hills, have to actually take time to come and make a presentation at the conference itself. Jomo Kenyatta was there, Nkrumah Kwame, C. Biko, all them ancient warriors there was at the conference. His Majesty Haile Selassie I, General Nasser, and all them ancient persons was there.
So what does it mean in St. Kitts to have a celebration about it?
Well, to celebrate Organization of African Unity, it transcends boundaries. The reason for that is because we being slaves that came into the diaspora through the slave trade 400 or 500 years ago. It is very important for us to have a unified Africa still, even unto this day, because if you have a unified Africa, then trading amongst Africans, whether in the diaspora or in the homeland, would be easier, because when you have a unified Africa, you have a country who actually controlling their own resources. And once you control your own resources, it's supposed to make you a richer nation. But in the past, because of after that same conference that they had, African leaders, some of them actually they was coerced by the colonizers to, in order, even though we're gonna give you a free state, we still need to be the one controlling the wealth of the nation. So we find ourselves, even though Africa being free in the sense of not being bandaged by another nation, the economic part of Africa is not really so free. It's still controlled by the minority, which is the landowners them of the whites that enslaved them in the past. So if we don't get a unified Africa where the wealth is actually spread back out to the people them so they can benefit a good life, same way, and a comfortable way of living, it's going to be hard for us to establish any trade in the diaspora, even as Africans. So that is why it's very important to unify Africa. And His Majesty in his speech didn't speak of just trading. It was even in territory, being able to go from one place in Africa was very hard, because remember, Africa was split up at the Berlin Conference in 1884-85, around that time. And with that split up of Africa, it came border split up, border lines was put in place. So now to even cross the border lines by foot, it became hard. So those were impediments for I. That's why we had to have an Organization of African Unity. So those impediments, they could reason, the heads of states could reason and say, okay, well, you're from Kenya and Ethiopia and Kenya share border. Only by goodwill of free men evil could go away, So that's what really happened. The free man them who decide to come together to try to get away all these evil from around their countries. That's what really Organization of African Unity is for.
They all turned their back. Ethiopia was ready to stand up and fight for. I remember the massacre of 1937. So don't come tell I about no devil. So much Ethiopians died. Selassie I survived occupation. By Mussolini it was wrong. And the other came from the Vatican. Occupation. By Mussolini it was wrong. And the other came from the Vatican. His Majesty, His Majesty, His Majesty, I. His Majesty, Haile Selassie, I. He overcome the occupation. By Mussolini it was wrong. And the other came from the Vatican. Yes, that massacre in 1935 to 1941, when they murdered so much innocent Ethiopians. We were grateful to stand on one of the spots that they murdered the patriarch for Addis Ababa, which was Abuna Petros. When the Italians reached Addis Ababa in 1937, or 1937, yes, 36, 37, they asked Abuna Petros to surrender the authority of the Ethiopian church to Rome. And because Abuna Petros refused, Abuna Petros was summarily executed. You know it is to be summarily executed? He was lined up against a post, and many gunmen took aim and shot down that innocent man. Just because he refused to surrender the authority of the Ethiopian church to Rome. And we have to really remember those great heroic deeds by our ancestors and cherish them and say that the deeds will always live on.
Oh my, yeah. My baby, my, hey, creation sound.